Hi everyone, I'm here to go over everything we know about absolute value functions, particularly when we don't have a graph. So let's start by just taking a look at function that they've given us, x minus 1, the absolute value of, minus 4. And so the first thing I'm going to notice is my transformations. And I'm going to look at the three locations where A, H, and K are. I don't have a number out front, so I haven't stretched or shrunk or reflected my absolute value. So the general shape of this absolute value is going to be right side up. I also know that I went to the right 1 and I went down 4, which means my vertex is now going to live at 1 comma negative 4. That's the first thing that my transformation tells me, that I went to the right 1 and then down 4. Now, without graphing and just using our general picture of our absolute value, we know a couple things. We know that our domain is all real numbers because we can plug any x value into our function. We also know that our range is going to start at negative 4 because our vertex is 1, negative 4, and it's going to include everything greater than negative 4. So our range is going to be greater than or equal to negative 4. I also know what's happening at the ends of my function, right? As this function goes off into the distance and forever and ever and ever, it's both sides are pointing towards positive infinity. So as x is getting bigger, y is getting bigger. As x is getting smaller, y is getting bigger. So they both go off into the distance to positive infinity. The other thing I know about this absolute value function is the maximum or minimum. You see, we know our vertex right here is 1, negative 4, which means we do have a minimum. Because it is pointing up, negative 4 is our minimum. We're also able to determine our increasing interval and our decreasing interval. We have an axis of symmetry right down the middle here at the number 1, right? As things are coming from the negative infinity in the x direction, as they're approaching 1, what's happening to our function? Well, it's decreasing, right? We're like landing a plane, we're descending. So our decreasing interval is from negative infinity to a positive 1. That is where our function is decreasing. Well, at negative 1, it turns and it starts to increase. So from 1 to infinity is our interval of increase. Again, intervals of increase and decrease. Look and read our graph from left to right. And we look at what our function is doing. As we come from the left, what's happening? We're decreasing till we hit the number 1. And as we keep reading left to right, now it starts to increase.